views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Wow, everyone. Welcome. It's so great to be connecting with all of you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for tuning us in, turning us on. I was just talking, and we're gonna introduce you to our amazing co-host and guest today, because we're just talking about this and in talking about the show. And of course, Benny and I have been together for quite some time. Hello, Mr. B.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, no.
Hey, no, we're good. No, wait.
So,
are you thinking I'm not
really
doing the years thing?
A kind of a years thing, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Now you heard that little thing before the show where it says, and this show's being brought to you by a Skype call, right? Pretty soon we're not going to need that anymore, because almost everybody right now, people are just like, I don't even know what a landline is. There are some people in the world right now that are growing up. When you say the word landline, they ask you, is that Verizon, or is that my iPhone? Is that my smartphone? Right. So we're in a world now that when this all started, there was no Skype. Al Gore had just invented the internet, and we connected with each other by phone, unless you're me and you could come in and hang out with Benny in the studio. And so this is the world we live in now, where it's expansive, it's enlarged, it's growing. And contrary to what people read about on the daily news, there are some really good things happening in the world. And you're going to hear from us in a little bit about a campaign that we're putting together, to take back our media. And we are using that language. Somebody said to me, Pat, that sounds so militant. And, it didn't actually come from me. But there's a reason for doing it. Almost all media these days is owned by literally two organizations. And shows like this and messages like this don't get to air very often. Thank goodness to our two flagship stations now, and CRN. Thank goodness to these folks, WBOQ, KKNW, and all the affiliates associated with them. They have not, gotten caught up in the takeover thing. So today we get to present to you information that is not just about expansiveness growing, but it's about healing, and it's about innovation, and it's about looking at some of the things that are being discovered in our world for the greater good. And I love this. Ginny Rutherford joining me here today, certified transformational life coach, right in our own backyard, studied, and we're going to have her tell you what she studied. But the point is that when we get to talk with her, whether we're going to be talking about what shamanic ceremonies, or we're going to be talking about something absolutely incredible today, you're going to probably hear it for one of the few times you've heard it so far, but you're going to hear a lot about it. Whatever we're going to be bringing here is about learning that there are things in the world all of us can know and experience, and know about the discoveries, the rituals, and the ceremonies of life. Whether or not you've been in the Amazon or have participated in any expansive spiritual awakenings or not, today's show is for you. It's about a level of healing that is now being embraced globally and beyond. Simon Scott's also joining us here today. Ginny, welcome to the show. Simon, welcome to the show. It's great to have you both here.
Hi, Dr. Pat. Nice to see you.
Hi, Dr. Pat. Thank you.
Ginny, this is exciting, right? I mean, we always do an introduction and never really tell people the full depth and breadth of why we're here today. But we are really going to take that time right now. You've been on the show before and you and I have talked about, what you have discovered. What does it mean to have our bodies feel absolutely rejuvenized, cleansed? And I would love for you to take a minute so we can talk about Simon.
Yes, I'm very excited to bring Simon on because he's the real master here, and he kind of introduced me to this wonderful healing medicine, and so I'm very excited to have Simon tell his story. But I got started really only this year. I had known about this healing medicine called Kambo, but I was always afraid of it. I was kind of like, oh, wow, that just seems a little too weird for me. I don't think I could ever do that. But I woke up one morning in January, and the message was, you're going to do Kambo. And I didn't know really how to do that. So I got online, and, of course, the first website that came up was Simon's website called Kambo Cleanse. And I immediately contacted Simon, and he set up for me to come down and do a 3-day Kambo treatment with him. And that literally changed my life in such a dramatic way that I've never really looked back. So I'm very grateful to Simon for that. And from that point on, I felt very connected to the medicine and connected to Simon also.
Well, tell me a little bit before we jump in and have Simon jump in. Tell us a little bit about how your life actually changed, because we hear that very, very often. We hear my life has changed. I was at a meeting the other day, and, I was sharing about a time, an experience I had to spend 10 days in the desert on a vision quest with very little food, water. And I was sharing that experience, and I actually forgot part of it. So, it's so important to talk about what the transformation that happened within you that now has enabled you to show up here and share it with people. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll just get Simon in on the conversation.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's really hard to put that into words, and sometimes other people see it more than you do. But as you start looking back, you go, "Yeah, I'm not even the same person anymore." And I think we have forgotten about the hero's journey and the initiation. Those are really important aspects of our walk, and I think that's what these end up being: our hero's journeys, initiations, and we're called to it. So for me, I basically haven't looked back. I started. I knew immediately that this was the path I was going to take, was to be a Kambo practitioner, and I didn't know how that was going to come about or what that was going to look like. And of course, with Simon's help, giving me some direction on how to do this, I got in touch with the International Association of Kambo Practitioners, signed up for their 14-day intensive, which I just got back about 2 weeks from. And the operative word is intensive. It was very intense. Every day you are being pushed and expanding your comfort zone. And so when the end of that 2 weeks, you are definitely, you're different. You look at the world differently. You see all the possibilities of how people can heal and all the things out there that we're not fully aware of, but have such healing properties to them. I think these plant medicines, Kambo is the medicine of the frog from the Amazon, and I'm really going to let Simon talk about that more. But those things are available to us to push us along our journey, to heal us, and I think that we just should be talking about it more because they're available to us.
Yeah. Well, I love that we're talking about it at all, because there was a time, and I think, Simon, you touched upon this. There was a time when I go back 13 years ago that a conversation like this, the one we're going to have, and several, if not many of the conversations I've had along the way, were put under the scrutiny of the overseers. And, today we live in a world where whenever the scrutiny begins to happen, people push back. And I have a, very, very specific example of that came across my desk today. And so what's this journey been like for you, Simon? And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pat. I really appreciate you having me on your show. I'm very happy to be here. My journey, let's see. My journey was, I would say, one of those kind of classical journeys where I set out in life to achieve many things that I thought were important. So, building a company that was successful and having all of the things that one felt would make you happy, money and awards and a certain amount of power and, a nice car and all of these things. But, of course, what happens is we work so hard for those things, and once we have them, we realize that they begin to own us, and we become, well, in my case, I became very empty, depressed, hollow. I was working, and not really knowing why I was working. And eventually, something snapped in me, and my soul was crying out for something more. It was a hard time, but these times that we experience in our life, when we look back that are hard, they are such gifts because they're always moments of shift and transformation where we realize that what we're doing is not good for us. So it's at that point that I really started to ask myself, well, I have all of this, and yes, I could have more of it, but that's not going to make me happy either. So, what is the answer for me? And for some people, they may have chosen to see a psychologist or started a meditation class or all of those things, all of the above. But in my case, I really felt a draw to go and learn a little bit about traditional medicines, like a traditional way of living. How do people live more simply? How do they live closer to nature? How do they deal with their issues without, the modern world? Yeah. And that led me down to Colombia, actually.
Mm. Well, this is really part of the experience that we're going to talk about today as well. Talking about Kambo is also extraordinary. And I love that we're going to have this conversation. It really is so important. When I got sick in 2004, and sick is putting it mildly for me. I've just started to talk about it on air. And, Ginny knows, she's been listening to the show. I don't really talk about it, but I've decided that I need to talk about this because there's a journey that goes with it. What I now know about that, had that not happened to me, I probably wouldn't have continued the radio show. But what happened was I changed the direction of the radio show. I now became curious, a seeker, a searcher. What are the ways of healing that I had not grown up with, not heard about? And how can we then share that with tens and thousands of people all over the world? And that has really become the cornerstone for what we do, whether it's an emotional malady, a spiritual malady, or, a physical malady, whatever that is that people are sensing, we're now bringing information to the forefront, and that's what today is all about. The very word cleanse is so mainstream right now. 5 years ago, not so much. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to invite all of you into the world of Kambo. We're going to invite you into the journey of healing, of cleansing that is beyond metaphorical for what this planet needs and what we need right now, but is in the physicality of the realm of body, mind, and spirit. Let's take a short break. This is exciting. I am so thrilled that we get to talk about some groundbreaking things coming out of the gate. We'll be right back with the show.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
My dream is to end homelessness.
My passion is living a green life.
My dream is to end poverty.
My passion is volunteering.
My passion is making a difference.
My dream is to cure Lyme disease.
My passion is rebuilding communities.
My passion is helping those in need.
My passion is caring for the elderly.
My dream is to find a cure for cancer.
My dream is to leave a better world for my children.
We all have that special passion, that lifelong dream that drives us to live our lives with meaning and to create a better world. No matter what drives you, we can all make an impact. Dr. Pat Basili is helping others make their dreams come true, so we can all help make our world a better world.
To learn more about how Dr. Pat is building a community of sharing hope, strength, funds, knowledge, and information, visit abetterworldcrowdfunding.com today. That's abetterworldcrowdfunding.com.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthисfunny.com.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's great to have you here joining us on the Dr. Pat Show. Jenny Rutherford joining me here today, and we've got a very special guest in the house. Very excited to talk with all of you about not just Jenny's journey, but also Simon Scott joining us here today. You know, KamboCleanse.com is the website, KAMBOCleanse.com. And, you know, this is really now the part, Jenny and Simon, this is the part where we start to talk with folks about the discovery and, you know, the use. And I would love, Simon, for you to take us on a journey of, you know, how this was discovered, and not just discovered by us, but how has this been you know, sort of a landmark for, you know, for healing and wellness in the parts of the country, in the parts of the world that it comes from.
Okay. Well, traditionally, native people that don't have access to modern medicine, they've always gone to a shaman. And the shaman is usually a person that studied their entire life from an early age. And the shaman understands that the jungle provides a pharmacopoeia of different medicines, natural medicines, which, when they're prepared correctly and are given correctly, are very effective for many, many different things. So Kambo is just one of hundreds or maybe even thousands of medicines available to them.
So, you know, Jenny, your experience of this, you know, from your perspective, I would love for you to talk about what that first step was like for you. And many of us don't have, and, you know, I just shared a little bit about my journey. I mean, I honestly had to be put in a position where you know, spirit got my attention, right? So that I could take a look at, you know, living a life that opens a door for information and knowledge. You know, what was that first step like for you?
Well, I had been suffering from some digestive problems, food allergies that had come on fairly quickly about a year ago after I had had a car accident. And I was really searching for a way to heal myself. And, you know, I'd been changing my diet. And when I started really reading about Kambo, I realized that having that kind of cleanse could be really helpful in just curing some of the issues I was dealing with. And that was really my main focus in doing Kambo in the beginning, is that I wanted to just kind of cleanse and see if I could reset myself. And that's really basically what happened. It was I had this beautiful cleanse. I was there for 3 days with Simon, and he holds space very beautifully. My daughter came along with me, and she also went through the process and had a great cleanse. And when I left, I just felt different. I felt like I was more in the flow. My digestion seemed to work a little better. And I mean, I still was watching what I was eating, but I just felt better. And I felt like that was a really deep cleansing for my body, and it felt really good. And I felt very very drawn to learn more about this. And so I went on this journey of, okay, well, if this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to just really jump into it. So I called Simon again and set up another 3 treatments a month later and went down again. And that was like the thing that really pushed me over the edge, so to speak, because I felt so good after that. And then I knew this is what I want to do for other people.
Yeah, so you became a practitioner. Tell us a little bit about that. Maybe you and Simon can talk about what that means.
Well, that was, again, it's called a Kambo Practitioner Intensive, and it's very intensive. I went to Poland for 14 days, and every day was just constant pushing out of our comfort zone. We had a lot of material to learn. We had a lot of practice to do. There were 16 of us. 3 people did not pass. It's really, really a tough course. It is definitely an initiation, but you learn a lot about holding space for people and how the medicine works and how to apply it properly and just all the history behind it. And you take on, or how I experienced it is I actually felt I took on the spirit of that medicine and felt very connected to it. So it was really transformative.
And the other thing, though, I want to just mention, if we could, now we have retreats that are prepared and brought to people, and this is really exciting. This is what I love about the ripple effect of something. There are retreats. I know that there was a retreat that was held in June, and I think that was sold out. Tell us about what you're creating now to get the word out and introduce people to what you have. There's an expression that folks see what you have, they see how you've changed, right? And they want to know. The people that saw me about 8 years ago, 100 pounds heavier, want to know if I got some plastic surgery or something. I got spiritual surgery, I think. But tell people a little bit about what you're creating here, and then we'll jump back to Simon.
Yeah, well, we held a retreat, and Simon came up and actually acted as the practitioner there. We had 20 people, 20 wonderful souls come up, and we did a 3-day retreat along the water in La Conner. It was really a wonderful retreat, and I've gotten so much email back from the people who were there and how transformative it's been for them and in their own healing, and how the Kambo was really helpful for them. So that's what, for me, I that's what I'm wanting to create is this container so that people can come and have a real healing process. So not just we'll be doing the Kambo, but also go through. I have a couple of other people I'm working with who are British trained psychotherapists who can help all of people through the process and have it be just a real experience, a real transformative experience. I think the Kambo kind of opens up the space for that. And that's really what I'm hoping to bring out there is these retreats that people can come to and spend and have them be residential so they can actually be in the space for those 3 days and have a really great experience.
Well, we're going to talk about, what is Kambo? Where did it come from? Why is it considered, one of the most powerful medicines used by tribes in the Amazon rainforest? And, what are we so learning from some of these absolutely amazing traditions? How is the healing done? What is it about the healing that happens? And why is this idea of a cleanse so important given the world we live in today? I went to school in California, and many, many people talk about the pollution, and they talk about, yeah, that's what's going on. Let me just tell you, any of you that have ever experienced the foothills of California and what it's like to get out and maybe go for a jog and then come home and on your skin there's this white film. It's not snow. Now compound that with just about everything somebody my age has put in their body, and the word cleanse should really be synonymous with blessing. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Let the transition begin. Tune in to the hit show, Majestic Insights Radio, Success for Life's Transitions, with host Carrie Keith. Carrie is a gifted intuitive coach, healer, and teacher who will lead you through her empowering techniques of ancient wisdom and awareness so you can live your happiest, healthiest, and most vibrant life. Let Carrie teach you the tools of transformation that will help you experience success for all of life's transitions. To learn more about Carrie, visit www.majesticinsights.com.
Put a little woohoo in your life with Keys. Keys Clear Protein Waters have 22 grams of smile-making, attitude-adjusting protein in every bottle. Did I mention its tongue-tingling taste? Not just another guilty pleasure. With Keys, you'll enjoy every low-sugar sip and freedom from gluten, lactose, and GMOs. Who needs the fountain of youth when you can find Keys on Amazon or at Keys, Kees, please.com. Put a little woohoo in your attitude with Keys Protein Water.
Are you seeking a more deeply connected and fulfilling life? Do you often find yourself feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or exhausted? Are you ready to embrace a life filled with more love, connection, and joy? Best of the month list and 5-star rated on Amazon, Conscious Being by author TJ Woodward will awaken you to your true nature. To learn more about how to get your copy of Conscious Being, visit consciousbeingbook.com today. We spend nearly a third of our life on the astral plane. Why not leverage it? Go deeper and learn more with Lynn Brown and Wendy R. Wolf. Join us at the Buddha Playhouse and Cafe in Bellevue, August 11th from 6 to 7 p.m. for basic tools and 7 to 9 p.m. for astral body basics. For more information, email lynn@letteruintuit.com or visit the website at letteruintuit.com.
Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. It's so great to have you here. I have been so waiting for Ginny to come on, Ginny Rutherford joining me here today, so we can talk about a discovery. And what I love is it's not a discovery for the people in the Amazonian rainforest, but it is a discovery for us. And what breaks my heart so much is when I think about how we might lose these mystical, magical healing experiences because of A, what's happening in the Amazon, but B, because we're so immersed in our fast fix pill, potion, and lotion. And so it's an honor to really have both Ginny and Simon on the show today, to talk about Kambo, but most importantly, to talk about the whole experience. I think before we, jump in, Simon, and you take us on a journey with this, Ginny, it's really important you tell people about the 3-day retreat.
3-day retreat. It is in Peaceful Mountain retreat, and it's a beautiful, sacred area. So it'll be a residential retreat. People will come and stay, and we'll be doing Kambo. We'll use some other medicines, Hape, Sananga. And after that, after we've recovered from the Kambo, we'll also be taking people through some healing processes with some of the other facilitators who are, as I mentioned before, our British trained psychotherapists, just to get people started. It's kind of a jump start to healing is what I feel like. We still have to do the work. There's no magic pill out there, but there are medicines out there and things that we can do that will just, like bypass some of the journey. I always said some of the work I've done in the Amazon it was like 10 years of psychotherapy in 3 ceremonies. So it's not like I didn't have to do the work. I did. We all still have to do it, but there are just ways that we can that can be, on steroids. It can kind of push us along the process a lot quicker. It kind of opens up the space so we can see the things that we need to be looking at and healing and integrating. So that's what I love about these ceremonies. So I'm very excited about this one. People can go on to kambokiss.com and register for this retreat. We still have some space left, and it's going to be very intimate and very private, and they'll get a lot of individual care and attention.
Yeah. And this is really very, very important to talk about now what this means, too, and how all of this works together. Simon, take us on a journey. And, many folks may not have heard about Kambo, but take us on a journey, about what Kambo is, how it was discovered by the ancients, and bring us to contemporary times of what you're doing now, to help people discover it for themselves.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pat. Kambo is something quite magical, let's say. And what I noticed is, if you look at Kambo just from the outside, okay, it's in a 3D way. Let's say it's a toxin that's taken from the phylum Medusa bicolor, a very beautiful tree frog that lives in the Amazon. It's important to know that the animal itself is not hurt during this process. It's treated with respect, and it's returned to the jungle after the milk is taken. They call it a milk.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is applied to the skin after the skin is gently opened with a hot stick. It's not too painful. It's just a very superficial opening. And then one goes on a journey. And the journey is not a psychedelic journey or anything like that. It's a journey really into yourself. It's a very grounding medicine. It brings you firmly into your body, into the moment. And after a few minutes, you will purge after having drank 2 liters of water before you take the Kambo. So this is the tradition. You drink the water. The water is the balance of the fire in the body, which is the Kambo, and a transformation happens. Now, from the outside, it might just look like somebody's, purging into a bucket or going to the bathroom or sweating or emoting. Perhaps they're crying or letting go. But really, it's much more than that. Kambo seems to work very much on the spirit, let's say, as well as work on the body. So what I find with the people I work with is they shift afterwards. They may change a job, they may change a partner, they may change the way they think, or they may start to be able to more clearly see and love themselves for who they truly are. So it brings them into alignment with, let's say, their intuition, their own heart, and it sets them on a clearer path. So they're able to really tune into what it is they need in their life to be happy and joyful and to to go back to that more childlike approach to life where everything is so beautiful and we're in the flow. We don't question as much. We accept our life more. We just flow with what is. And this is the true gift of Kambo.
I love what you're talking about. And you know why I love this, Simon? I love this because you probably haven't listened to the shows we've been doing recently, but what they talked about at how quickly we are spinning ourselves up, how quickly we are removing ourselves from the spiritual energy and vibration that is so innately part of who we are, and how unable most people are in making that reconnection. And what I love about what you're talking about, and I just have to tell everybody, if you have not gone to the websites and looked at this, please do. If you go to, as we said before, go to KamboCleanse.com, and then, Ginny, you can give out your site. But if you go here, you're really going to be reminded of what the peace and the joy is like, the inhibition, the innocence that Simon talked about. And I'm telling you, when I looked at this, I was so brought back to a time in my life. In 1997, I didn't experience quite this. Let's just say I had my training wheels that would prepare me for what you're doing. But the level of peace that you're talking about, the level of cleansing, the level of oneness with nature and hearing the voice of spirit is by far the most profound thing I've ever done in my life. And what I think you both are talking about, if you've not said it, is a rebirth. Now, those are my words, but I would love for you to talk about that. You know, is this in essence a rebirth so we can come back to our true nature? Would you talk about that, Ginny, and then Simon?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dr. Pat. I so love the way Simon puts this into context. It's really beautiful. And he does it so much more eloquently than I can, but because he's been doing this for so long, and I feel like a real newbie at this. But yeah, it's kind of a rebirth. I mean, I think it's an enhancement. Just like Simon says, we come back to that beautiful state of flow. And that's the way I've experienced it in the past, is that it feels like my life is much more in flow with the universe. So it doesn't feel like I'm bumping up against, like constantly in this fight against kind of what is. It's more of an acceptance. And there's something really peaceful about that. So I'll just tell a really quick story. Last night, a person that actually went through our first retreat, and that Simon had actually was the practitioner, her daughter was telling me how her mom is so much calmer now, and she actually can have a conversation with her, and that she laughs now more, and how she's just so appreciative of her going through that experience because it's been so helpful to their relationship. And so those are just some of the things that happen to people when they get into the flow of life. And that's kind of how Kambo works. It is magic. That's the perfect term that Simon used. I feel like it is magic.
I think, Ginny, what I've personally experienced and what I see a lot with my the people that work with me is, as you've seen, there's a lot of testimonials on the website, and really that's, the best way for us to communicate about Kambo is people's experience rather than telling people what it is. The feedback we get keeps us going. It's a very beautiful thing to work with Kambo and to see people's transformation. You realize that each and every person is so incredibly valuable and beautiful and unique. But of course, there's the weight of the world. There's the modern world, the commuting, the food supply is not necessarily the best right now, and there's a lot of stress, and so people get pulled into the mind a lot. And the gift of Kambo is it brings us back into the heart. It's like the Buddhists talk about the journey, the spiritual journey of a life journey is only a journey of a few feet. And that's really out of the mind and into the heart. So rather than do years and years of meditation, there's medicines that we can take that will give us a taste of that. It could be Kambo, it could be ayahuasca, it could be San Pedro, whatever the medicine is. Once you have that taste, once you know that you're capable of that, then you yearn for more. And that's where the transformation starts, because you want to exist in that space every day and all day. And I think that this is what we could describe as being more conscious. We never own consciousness. We never are fully conscious. Consciousness is a choice we make in each moment. And if we make that choice correctly, moment after moment, you may say that person is very conscious. But of course, there are times that we become unconscious. Something triggers us. But that's always a beautiful lesson, because then we can look at ourselves from the heart space and not be mad at ourselves, and we can say, well, why did I get triggered? What is it in me that what is the universe reflecting back to me that I'm not dealing with? And I think the heart space it makes the world makes more sense, because you start to realize that it's cause and reaction, the universe reflects back to us, and the heart space really then creates a flow, and we don't have to think as much. We kind of flow with our life, and this is where the tribes talk about clearing panema. And panema for them is translated literally as laziness. So that doesn't mean we're lazy. It just means that we are unable to move because we're stuck in our heads. We're not flowing with our life. And this is the gift of the medicine.
Simon, I have to tell you, I first of all, I want to thank you for coming on the show. And Benny, we are going to skip this break. I want to thank you for coming on the show, because, you know, as I was looking at, first of all, as I went to the website, and I want to mention it again for those of you out there, you know, please go and check this out, KamboCleanse.com. Go ahead, KamboCleanse.com. Go to the website, or you can go to KamboKiss.com. But when you go there, I would love for all of you to explore what's here. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're going to see something here that I think very few people get to participate in. And if you do nothing else, read some of the testimonials here, because what people are saying are exactly what Simon and Jenny are talking about. But it's more than simply what we said before, more than simply going and taking an experience with the cleanse. You mentioned this before, Simon, and I'd love for you to talk about it in a little bit more depth. You know, you talked about an upcoming event that's happening in October, I believe. And I would love for you to talk more about this, because when people come to this website, almost everything I've read, people are saying, yes, the cleanse, yes, that was great, but they could not anticipate what the connection that they would get with the people that were there and that lived there and shared this. Can you talk a bit about this, and maybe, Jenny, your experience, because this is really profoundly important to this conversation, I think.
Beautiful, thank you. Well, I started to feel that I had received so much from Kambo. Like, my life had changed. I was really feeling supported and loved, and my life was completely different. The quality of the people coming to me and working with me, and the quality of my life improved so much when I started to work with these medicines. But I felt, you know, I had a responsibility, first of all, to represent and work with this medicine in as integral way as I can, and also to give back. Okay, so like, how could I give back? So I was asking the question, how could I give back? Because I'd never met a tribe, really. I mean, I did a lot of my initial work without a tribe. And so I went down to a festival in Brazil for the Yawanawa tribe, and they live in northern Acre, northwest of Brazil in Acre. And they're 8 hours up the river, and they live a beautiful life. You know, they hunt, they fish, they grow food, they have a beautiful society structure, they drink medicine together 2 or 3 times a week, and they're also masters of Kambo. So what I decided to do was to create a company with a Brazilian partner, and the idea of this company was to give people genuine shamanic experiences with a tribe. And in doing so, we figured out a way where we could give 2/3 of all the money that comes in for those retreats back to the tribe so that they can put in wells for clean water or do education or build infrastructure, and basically to protect the area that they live in, to give them some resources to protect their culture. And so we created a company called Ancestral Ceremonies, and there is a website of the same name, ancestralceremonies.com. And we take people there to experience the tribe for 1 week, and we do a lot of traditional medicine work with the tribe. And so far, people have had really amazing experiences. And it's not really just the medicines. It's meeting people that are so heart-centered and so in balance with their environment. It really sets off a light bulb in people, and they think, well, I could do this. I could live more naturally. I could live more out of the heart space. I could make changes in my life. And so the tribe is also a medicine. To see people living authentically with nature is a beautiful medicine.
It is a beautiful medicine. And, you're doing such a beautiful job at describing it, because when I came back from the desert, everybody wanted to know what happened to me, and I could not articulate it. And I can hear that a little bit with you, Ginny, because it's really hard to take something so spiritually immersive and put it into words. But and I know, you don't come back the same. Ginny, what would you say has been the greatest change? And for those of you out there trying to call into the show with questions, please go ahead and do it. We'll see if we can get you on real quick. Ginny, tell us a little bit about the transformation, and again mention this upcoming retreat.
Well, I think what Simon said was perfect, and that was my experience. I lived a lot in my head. Because it's a comfort level, and our culture really teaches us to be in our left brain productive state, logical, pragmatic. And that, to me, not having that balance is kind of, it's kind of like hell. So what has happened for me, the biggest transformation is that I live so much more in my heart space now. And that is a beautiful place to be. There's nothing like it. And our culture desperately is crying out for it. I see people all the time. They're in so much pain and suffering, and they're not really sure how to get out of that. And they're very stuck in their headspace. So for me, the biggest transformation really was being able to get into my heart space and truly live life more simply. So I'm getting ready to go to this retreat in October with Simon, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I know. I already checked it out. And it looks like there are 2 parts to it for me when I looked it up. And what I love about this, and we have not talked about this, is how when we go on this, how we are invited into the homes, the family, and the community of the people that live there. And that is by itself, Simon, Ginny, that by itself is an experience. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you put words to this. You want to try, Simon?
Well, I think, if you were to say go visit your grandmother, the grandmother that loved you deeply and you loved her deeply, and she'd invite you into her home and she'd make you a cup of tea and she would make sure that you were comfortable and give you a piece of cake, and she would just love on you, This is the way the Yawanawa are. They're so heart-centered, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you look like or anything. They just accept you and love you, and they're there to help, they're there to share, they're there to impart their knowledge, and they're very proud of their culture. They nearly lost their culture with the missionaries, and they fought back, and eventually they recovered their culture, and they're reaping the benefits of that because they really have very little sickness. They have no depression. They have no heart disease. They have none of these modern ailments. They really are a very happy and healthy people.
And let's talk about this idea of the rituals that they are passing on. What I love about this is we hear so often about ancient traditions being lost forever. Literally civilizations being erased from the earth. This is such a beautiful transfer of knowledge, and I know we only have a few minutes left, but I want us to mention it because these are peoples that are willing to share their ancestry, and that in itself is enormous a gift of generosity, don't you think, Simon?
Absolutely. No, there's a very important point here, and that is that while we consider the Amazon to be something over there and not really part of ours, then we don't really necessarily care about it. Of course, we may say that we do, but we're not really doing anything to support that. And I think as people start to see that the pharmacopoeia of amazing medicines coming out of the jungles of South America and the teachings that are coming out are so relevant for our time that it really is time for us to step up and support those cultures in any way that we can, because they may even hold the keys for our collective future.
Ginny, how about you?
I agree wholeheartly. I spent some time in Peru in the jungle with a wonderful shamanic family, and they were the happiest people I think I've ever met. They gave so wholeheartedly, and they lived so wholeheartedly that to watch that, I brought that back with me, that there's a way in which we can live more simply, and we don't have to have all the stuff. They don't have that much, and yet they are so happy and full of love. And so there's a lot to be learned from that way of life.
Wow. I love this. My gosh. Simon, Ginny, I hope you both will come back. I mean, there are so many things that we are still here to share about this, including talking about what some of the experiences people had. But for those out there, please go to the website. There's so much. It's a beautiful website. Go to KamboCleanse.com. And Ginny, give out your website. Tell people how they're going to register for this event.
Yes, just go to KamboKiss.com. There is a little button there that you can push on, and it's going to take you to all the information and how to register.
Well, can you please give out a phone number? Because, some people are just like, I need to call her.
Perfect. Yes.
I'm that way. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick up the phone. How about a phone number? What's the best way for folks to connect with you?
Yes, you can call me 360-319-9755.
Last question. Simon, what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Oh, that life really does not need to be so difficult. It's if we are experiencing difficulty, then it's a sure sign we're on the wrong path, and it's time to ask, why is my life difficult? Because life is not designed to be difficult. It's really a question, like we've talked about, of finding ways to come out of the mind, to quieten the mind, and like I said earlier, it may not necessarily be Kambo. It could be meditation. It could be walks in nature. Yep. It could be whatever it is for you. But it's for each of us to find that answer within ourselves.
Well, I don't know about you, but the Amazon sounds pretty right for me. It sounds like that could work for me. I want to thank you both. Ginny, last question, personal message.
Personal message? Yeah, there's always hope, and it's just a matter of finding that right path.
Oh, I love it.
Shoot
preceding audio was via a Skype call.